Hi guys, welcome back on my YouTube channel. I'm Ping Ping, and for today's video guys, I will discuss to you how much money do you need if you're applying for US tourist visa. So how much money do you need in your bank account to prove to the consul that you have enough cash or you can finance your trip to the United States. Okay, so before I answer that questions, there are a few things that you need to consider or you need to put into consideration when you're applying for your US tourist visa. First, you have to make sure that you fill out your DS-160 correctly. Alright guys, so in your DS-160, there is a section there or part there that they will ask you how many days are you going to stay in the United States and who will pay or person entity paying for your trip. So alright, so for example, you stay there for 10 days, right? So this part, the travel information. In the travel information, yes, that part, you can see that they ask you questions about purpose of the trip, specify if it is B1, B2 or tourist visa. Of course, you're applying for tourist visa. And have you made specific travel plans? You don't need to answer yes. If you don't have any specific travel plans, you can answer no. And then the important question is intended date of arrival. So when are you going to arrive in the United States? And intended length of stay in the US, how many days? And also address where you will stay in the United States and person, entity, paying for your trip. So those are very important things that you need to consider if you're applying for your US tourist visa, and you have to make sure that you answer it correctly in your DS-160. It will make a great impact on your application because in this part, consul will identify if you can finance your trip or you don't have the capacity or financial capacity to pay for your trip. So example, there are so many scenario guys if you're applying for US tourist visa. For example, you're a parent and your children are requesting you to visit in the United States. So of course, you will put in the person, entity paying for your trip, others, and not self, right? Others. So the person who will pay for your trip is your son or your children. So you put the name of your children in the contact information, US contact information. All right, so instead of putting self, because the truth is your children or your daughter or your son will be the one to pay for your trip, so you put other, okay? And then intended length of stay in the US, you can put 2 months, 3 months, okay, or 15 days only. But please remember, even you have a family in the United States, do not put in your DS-160 that you are staying there for 6 months, because that is the super maximum stay of a person as a tourist in the United States, 6 months. But we do not advise, as for me, I do not advise you to put that in your DS-160. Do not put 6 months as a length of stay in the United States. It's it's not good for a person holding a US tourist visa to stay a maximum of 6 months in the United States. Okay, so if possible, you can put 3 months, 1 month, or 15 days, or 10 days. Now, to answer the question, how much money do you need in your bank account as a parent because you're applying for a US tourist visa and your daughter or your children or your son will be the one to pay for your trip? No cash needed. You don't need to provide us bank certification or bank certification for the last 6 months. You don't need to provide that because consul already knows that the one paying for your trip is your child or your daughter, which you already declare in your DS-160, okay? So you don't need to provide a bank certification for that because in the first place, you're not paying for your trip. Other person is paying for your trip. Instead of providing a bank certification under your name, I suggest you secure a payslip or certificate of employment from your child or from your son or daughter or the person paying for your trip in order for you to show it to the consul. If ever consul will ask, what is the work of this person? What is the work of Stephanie? just in case the name of your daughter is Stephanie, so you will say, my daughter is a pharmacist. I have a certificate of employment consul of my daughter. See? So in the certificate of employment, there is a word, or they will specify the work of your daughter and the monthly salary. So, as for your end, as the applicant or the parent applying for your U.S. tourist visa, you don't need to secure a bank certification. Okay? Next, you're traveling alone, and person entity paying for your trip is yourself. So you declare it in your DS-160 that you are the one paying for your trip. Now, you have to make sure that the intended length of your stay in the US is how many days. Okay, so let's say you declare 2 months. That is now the time that you have to prove to the consul that you can finance your own trip for 2 months in the United States. So you have to provide a bank certification. Now, how much money do you need if you're staying for 2 months? You have to consider a lot of things. Your expenses, staying in America for 2 months, your food, your hotel accommodation, your payment for your all different trips, right? Taxi, cab, Uber, or something. Your plane ticket back and forth, your round trip ticket. So you have to consider all those things. Now, for 2 months, how much money you need to in your bank account? So that is a lot of money, guys. You need a lot of money in order for you to sustain your travel in the United States for 2 months, because you declare in your DS-160 that you're staying in America for 2 months and you will be the one paying for your trip. So plane ticket maybe is around 100,000 round trip. If you can get a promo plane ticket, maybe around 80,000 to 60,000. How about your food? Your food for the 60 days, right? Because you're staying for 2 months. Food for 60 days, let's say $50 per day times 60. Do the math, guys. You do the math. So if you're paying for a trip, you declare self as the one paying for a trip. Make sure that the intended length of stay in the US is not too long, 10 days or maximum of 15 days. Enough only to make sure that you have enough money in your bank to sustain your 15 days trip or 15 days stay in the United States, including your fare and your hotel accommodation and food, and of course your other expenses that may occur. And so you have to provide a bank certification for that, and 6 months of updated bank certification is the advisable thing. And guys, make sure that in the 6 months, the money that goes inside your bank account is not in one deposit only. You know what I mean? One deposit. Like for example, in the first 6 months of your bank certification, consul will only say that, oh, you only receive 3 deposits for the last 6 months, 30,000, 40,000, and 100,000. Where is this money coming from? Oh, what is it's come from? And they have boyfriend from the United States, but they don't want to declare that they have a boyfriend. So they will declare that they will be the one paying for their trip, but the boyfriend is the one sending money for them in their bank account. The consul will see it. So make sure that you provide a very, truthful bank certification. Latest 6 months or the last 6 months of your bank certification is a must. You get ready for that. Plus, as well, you have a business or a work. Consul's very good doing the math, so they know that you can afford to pay for your trip for your US tourist visa in the United States. Next thing is, what if you're not the one paying for a trip, you don't have a child or a sponsor, it's a company trip, so you put other, and then you declare in your in your DS-160, the US contact information is your company, and of course, you put intended length of stay in the US, 10 days, 5 days, 15 days, depending on the company event. For that, guys, if you are invited by a company or a group of organization that is real and it's really exists in the United States, you don't need to provide a bank certification on your end, but you need to provide a company letter, or I mean company invitation letter, that is a proof that your company is inviting you to attend the seminar, and all the expenses will be shouldered by the company, as well as a certificate of employment from your company. But as to a bank certification, it's not mandatory on your end to provide a bank certification. And also, consul will not focus on your bank account because in the first place, the trip is shouldered by a company, okay? But it's still better to provide to be ready of all of the documents that you need. Bank certification and the latest 6 months of your bank certification is also very good. But consul will not focus on your bank certification because in the first place, you declare that the person or entity paying for a trip is not you but the company. All right, so let's have a recap again. So for example, you are applying for your tourist visa, and you declare in your DS-160 that the person, entity paying for your trip is your daughter, son, parents, or you're being sponsored from your boyfriend, or your boyfriend will be the one to sponsor your trips. And then the intended date of your stay is 10 days, 20 days, 2 months, something like that. So you don't need to provide a bank certification on your end, but you have to provide a certificate of employment or pay stubs coming from your children, parents, or proof of income of the person paying for your trip. All right, next. What if you declare in your DS-160 that the person, entity paying for your trip is you, yourself alone? So you have to be very careful, guys, in declaring the intended length of stay in the US. Do not declare too long, like 3 months or 2 months. Maybe just declare 10 days, 5 days, or 15 days. And make sure you have enough money to fund for your trip because you declare in your DS-160 that the one paying for your trip is yourself. So you do the math, guys, for that. Your total, your plane ticket, let's say 100,000, your hotel accommodation, your food, your payment for your trip to different specific locations in the United States where you want to spend your trip in the US. So those are very important. And as well as you have to make sure that if you have money in your bank account and you provide a bank certification, the consul, you also have a proof where is the money coming from. So you have a business, you have work like that. That will also give an impact to the consul. All right, guys? So that is very important. If you declare on your DS-160 that the one paying for your trip is yourself, of course, you have to make sure that you have enough money to pay for your trip. That's the point. And how long are you going to stay in the US? Those are very important information and play a big role in approval of your tourist visa. All right? But if you really ask me, so how much money do I really need in order for me to get approved for the US tourist visa? There is no exact amount that you need to attain in your bank account. 1 million, 2 million, no exact amount, guys. It depends on how you enter your DS-160. Number of stay in the US is very important. If you declare 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, so consul will check how much money do you have in your bank account. If you have 1 million pesos to pay for your trip for the next 5 months or 3 months, and where is the money coming from? You have a business, or you are self-employed, or you are employed in the government or a private agency. Okay, but again, to answer your question, how much money do you need in order for you to apply for US tourist visa? How much money do you need in your bank account in order for you to apply for US tourist visa? There is no exact amount that you need to attain in order for you to get approval from the US consul. Okay, guys? So that's it. That's the end of this video. I hope you learned something from this video. Thank you so much. And if you like, please give it a thumbs up, and if you have questions or clarification, you can comment down below and I will try to answer all your questions. Thank you and see you next time.